Preference points in application season. This is episode 10 of Post Hunt Clarity. We got Ben here. I'm sitting on his couch drinking a beer.
Hell yeah.
And we've been having crazy life talks. Just, we're always at that age where things are always rolling. But the big question now is it's April 2nd.
Yep.
And as a Midwestern hunter that's avid about doing hunts in places other than Wisconsin, there are, between now and end of May, like 15 states with different applications open right now. Some of the ones that, we've been talking about are Kansas, there is South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Colorado, just a plethora of states where when you're a working class human being, you only have so much time allotted. If you have a full-time job, you only have 2 weeks, 3 weeks vacation a year, then you have your personal life, all that stuff. And it's crazy to think that we're trying to plan these hunts. I mean, it's not that far. I mean, you're still talking 9 months. If it's further than that, maybe. But, there's so much more that goes into it that nobody explained to me. You and I are talking about preference points, right? Like, Kansas is, the percentage after, if you compare 2022 draw odds to 2023 draw odds, the percentage of people drawing tags without a point is going down because there's more people applying. So it's roughly right now, depending on the unit, a 60 to 70% chance without a point, which is still pretty damn good.
I don't even know. So I started going to Kansas in 2013, I believe, and this shows my little knowledge on it is I don't even know if they changed it to a lottery at one point or to a preference point situation or not, because until from 2013 till maybe 2021, I never heard of anybody not drawing.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if it was basically just an application and you were in or what. And now in the last few years, I've heard of a couple people that I think your odds are still decent with no percentage points. No preference points. Last year I drew with none. But yeah, I don't know what the odds of that are, but it's definitely expensive too. Is the other thing is a working class person.
It's an expensive just month to 2 month period. One thing I failed at this year is saving for this specific occasion. I know these dates, right? I signed up for Hunt Reminder. I've been wanting North Dakota. I bought points the last 3 years, or bought points and didn't draw, so got gifted points. I'm okay, I know I'm applying for this, and then somewhere along the road, I'm I'll buy a point here and then apply for this next year. So now I got, my hands dabbled with, different amount of points in different states, and I'm okay, I want to do this hunt, and this hunt this year. We'll look at the application dates, and it's oh shit, they're all April through May. And I'm Kansas is expensive. I bought a point last year for $25. I'm okay, that's cheap, not a big deal, whatever.
And then if you draw, it's you're in for $500.
That's what I'm saying. I already paid because application fee was $25. I had to pay for my hunting license already.
Yeah. Which
was $127 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's an expensive whitetail tag.
Yeah, it is.
But it's better hunting than what I can have up here, so I'm fine with that. But on top of that, I'm Ben and I were debating, let's do South Dakota. Him and I both bought points for $10 last year for a archery tag statewide, any deer. That's pretty much a guaranteed draw with 1 point. Even that, to apply or whatever, we're $300 into this already, if we so choose. So then we're all right, we'll scrap that. Maybe it doesn't make sense for this 2024 season. We'll do it in 2025. So I move on. I'm okay, Wyoming. I got 4 elk points, 4 deer points. I want to go mule deer hunting first. And it's $50 per point, per animal pretty much. So I'm I got, 8 total points. I'm $400 deep already. So let's go mule deer hunting. To apply and get that tag, that's $500. I'm and all this money's coming out at one time. That's 2 states. Then my ass wants to go to North Dakota because I've been trying to draw this tag for 2 years now, which isn't a crazy expensive tag, but still another $300 on top of that. I mean, like, we're talking about dropping over $1,000 just to buy tags 8 months and 9 months at a time. Like, it's just wild.
Yeah. And so we had talked about, I mean, we were both pretty hard set when we started talking about it, which, granted, that was like, what, December?
Yeah, just
South Dakota.
Points were still on sale.
We were like, okay, we're going to buy this preference point so we can for sure go in like October next year. And we just kind of started looking at it and like decided it didn't make sense. And then like my family has been hard set on like my uncle and grandpa have gone to Kansas every year since like 2010 probably roughly. And this is the first year. I was just on the phone with my uncle today. He's like, I think I'm just going to buy a preference point this year because I've got some good pieces to hunt up here, and I'm gone for the rut for them every year, and like, I don't know that I want to go. So my plans have kind of shifted a lot. I'll probably end up buying a preference point for Kansas is the way I'm leaning right now, and I don't know. Gabe and I have discussed like South Dakota. We don't know really makes sense for us this year anymore. And so I've started buying, I actually got them today, freaking $170 for preference points in Colorado. Now, granted,
everything. He's buying points for freaking prairie dogs.
You're like 3 years, it's going to be like 3 years of that before you can draw a tag for like elk or deer probably. A good tag. And so I bought elk, deer, moose, bighorn sheep, mountain goat, and pronghorn. And so, I don't know, I'm going to just start trying to rack up some points and hopefully do a pretty cool hunt here in the next 5 years. Because really, other than Kansas, which is the same style we hunt here, I mean, it's bigger farmland, but I've never been on a hunt that's that crazy. But I don't know, now we're talking about maybe we just say, you know, for lack of a better term, fuck it to some of these states we have to apply for so far in advance, and maybe we just do like a over-the-counter tag that we can plan a little bit more last minute somewhere, and just try to make a cool few days out of it. And I've decided that I'm going to be a little bit more picky with what I do or don't shoot this year, and so I don't think I'm going to run the risk of using a tag in state here too soon in the year like I did last year where I would have had to be done hunting second weekend in October.
Yeah, because then you're stuck.
So I think I'm just going to kind of start building preference points for some of these cooler, more elite, if you will, hunts, and kind of just leave it alone for this year because it's ridiculous what you can spend on some of this stuff.
I feel like this is just a crazy rabbit hole because we're talking points to cash in on this year, but like there's some guys, like you look at Hunting Fool and Eastman's Hunting Journal, like Western guys that are used to, like they were born into knowing about preference points. That's not a thing for us here, like unless you do your own research. Where these guys are getting points in a bunch of different states. I mean, they're talking Utah, they're buying points in New Mexico or wherever, maybe not New Mexico, but Arizona, like all these other states. And I'm trying to plan hunts and like figure out, I want to do these states this year because I think I can draw, and then I'm like, but if I buy more points, you know, or as I accumulate more points, then next year I'll be able to do these states. So you talked about this year, I'm very confident in the North Dakota archery tag. I'm going to draw that Wyoming. It's going to be a general tag for mule deer. And then Kansas, I bought a point. I shouldn't chalk it up, but I'm chalking it up that I'm going to draw that tag.
Yeah.
3 hunts, cool. That's this year plus Wisconsin or whatever I do on the weekends, Minnesota. Like that's a lot of hunting and probably a lot of tags that probably get burned. That's just my history. Then you look forward to 2025, and it's like, okay, Wyoming. I want to elk hunt. The issue with Wyoming is like my parents, my dad, his brothers did this when they were my age, right? They graduated high school. They elk hunted between 18 and 24 years old. Like, my dad hasn't elk hunted since he was 24 years old, which is crazy because I've never had a tag in my hand, and I'm already 24, almost 25. You know, and, like, I was talking to him when he was over at my house for Easter on Sunday, And I was like, yeah, I want to go, to Wyoming next year. He's like, yeah, let's go. Let's just go get tags. I'm like, you can't just get tags. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, out of high school, we just went over there and bought a tag and went hunting, And I'm like, no, you need points now. He's like, well, how many points did it take? 1 year, 2 years to get a tag? I'm like, general elk tags, like, I'm looking at the draw stats from last year. Like, it's like shaky on 4 points if you can draw an elk tag out there. Like 5 is for sure general elk tag, but that's like shitty units with crap ton of people. If you want like really good units, I mean, they're anywhere from 12 to 17 points. Like, you're trying to tell me that people are really planning on waiting 17 years to go on hunt? Like, for me right now, let's say I don't cash in those points, buy another one right now, I get 5 elk points, I still have another 10 years. Like, I'm 35, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on this hunt when I'm 35 or 36, 37. I don't know where I'm going to be in life. You and I were just talking. You have no idea where you're going to be. I mean, I could have kids. I could be having strokes. I get cancer from eating Red 40 and a bunch of colored cereals. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah. No, and it's a shame that, like, and I understand what, like, these state DNRs are trying to do, right? Like, you've got a state, like, from what I've heard about Colorado, like, all these general units and stuff where you can still buy over-the-counter tags, they're just kind of hunted out. Like,
yeah, you're shooting rag bulls or you're shooting smaller mule deer with the occasional good buck, but it's majority.
Yeah, and it's, so I understand what they're trying to do is, like, they're trying to weed the people that aren't dedicated to it out, and they're trying to, maybe generate a little bit of additional income for the DNR.
There's a lot of income.
And they're trying to help the herd. The problem is, like I just said, I literally had to buy, to be able to purchase preference points in Colorado, I had to buy a small game license, an annual small game license for Colorado, which is $100 for a non-resident person. Then they tack a like $12 stamp on there. So you're at like $112, and then it's $10 per preference point. So you're like, well, I might as well get all these preference points of anything that I think might be interesting to hunt at some point, because it's only an extra $10 per. Well, pretty soon, by the time I was done, I was at $170 just to buy preference points. And then, so you think about that, like I was saying, I'm probably going to have to do this for 2 more years before I have a chance of drawing, and I have no idea, but
that's one of the 5 preference points you bought too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The year you're like, let's go on an elk hunt.
Yeah.
Then I'm not going to mule deer hunt. Guess what? You're still going to buy your mule deer preference points so you can have a better chance at next year.
Yeah.
That's just, it sucks you in.
So let's say for the next 2 years I buy preference points, and in 2027 I apply and I draw my tag. So before I even apply for the actual hunt and draw my tag, so before any of those charges, I spent $510 just accumulating preference points for one state.
Yep.
Like, that's stupid. I understand what they're trying to do, but it's just, like, it's ridiculous. Even Kansas now, it's $25 just for that preference point.
Yeah,
like,
which sucks you in because you're like, oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And then you go to apply and it's like, oh, shit, I got to have $500 some ready to go, and that's just the tag.
Yeah.
Like, that you don't even think about, I gotta drive there, the fuel costs, like, am I staying in a hotel, am I camping, and like, that's the reason I pitch a tent everywhere, cause
yeah.
I can do these trips for...
I'm totally okay with, like, the trip itself being expensive. That I expect. Like, I don't expect to be able to drive out there for $0 and stay somewhere for $0 and not have to eat, and like, that I'm fine with. But the fact that you are starting to spend, like, I was looking at Montana a little bit this year.
$1,000?
Yeah, it's like $1,000 just for a tag. I mean,
the odds are better though. That's where they get you. Because you can hunt every other year in Montana for an elk or a mule deer.
Yeah.
Based on how their draw odds are. But in respect to that, okay, so wait less time, pay more money so you can hunt more often. That's where they get you,
Yeah. And I'm okay with that if that's, part of the flip side of that is, like, you need to make sure that you're really okay with spending that money. But I think it's crazy. And maybe it's just because you and I are young and, like, we're not 45 years old and haven't had 20-some years to accumulate just a bunch of extra money sitting around. But, like, it is kind of ridiculous.
The other side of that is, like, okay, my dad's 50, 51, 52. He hasn't been buying any points. Like, he did all the stuff you and I are talking about when he was our age. And then all of a sudden, you know, he had wife and kids, and you and I just got done talking like, you know, do I hunt now? You know, spend a bunch of money, you know, that I'm kind of on the fence about spending and enjoy that stuff, or do I just work, get a good job so I can be rewarded when I'm in my 40s and 50s? And like, my example of that, and you know, I love my dad, and you know, he's kind of like, as he's hunted less, like he not necessarily got out of his system, but as he grew his business and took care of kids, like became less interested in it. Like he has no plans ever again to probably go out west unless I force him out there, or I take him out there. Like he's not buying points. And that was the other thing. So I'm like, well, do you want to go to Kansas with me? He's like, yeah, let's go buy tags. I'm like, we can't. You got to, you know, do this. And I was like, you know, I'm planning on Iowa for 2025 or 2026. I'll have 4 points next year, which isn't quite, I need 5 probably to draw the unit I want, or I can get a gun tag or whatever, which Iowa's an expensive fucking tag. $68 per preference point. For the unit I want to draw is 5 or 6 preference points. So I'm like, then the tag after all said and done is about $900. I'm like, just for a whitetail, dude. Like,
Yeah.
Now I understand why guys are like, well, you know, you go to an outfitter in a, you know, over the counter state for $4,000, $5,000, whatever, and kill a deer every year. That's pretty good. Granted, I'm not huge on outfitters just because I feel like your hands getting held, but you know. My cousin Austin, for example, his Wyoming, 17, 16 preference points. Do the math on that. $50 a point for 17
How
years.
many did he have?
17. He had max points.
Holy shit. So he's, how old is he?
29. He'd been putting in since he was 12.
Wow.
Because he wanted to draw the number one unit that his dad hunted, you know, with my dad, Unit 22 in Wyoming, which is there's like 1 to 3 tags that they sell to non-residents each year. And it takes max points every year. So he wanted to draw that tag. Well, finally had enough points, and at this point, like, he's working so much. Like, he was focused on his career. He's with Xcel Energy. He's a nuclear power plant engineer. Like, he's, like, busy. Makes a lot of money. Obviously, he got a little bit overweight, and then, like, you apply for that elk tag in January, and then you don't get to hunt until the following year. So you have 10 months before you hunt. Found out he was successful, I don't know if it was April or May or whatever it was, end of May, June. And he's like, oh, I got 3 months to try and get in shape. Didn't get in shape. And then we were like, he's never picked up an elk call. He's never been to the mountains before. So he's drawing this once-in-a-lifetime tag.
Yeah.
You know, or debated drawing this once-in-a-lifetime tag. But it had no experience. So I'm like, let's figure out something different. So before he drew, I made some deal with an outfitter through my business saying like, hey, you know, my cousin's got max points, you know, can we work something out? And he's like, if your cousin's got max points, I'll let him hunt at the outfitter for free. Which, not saying it was a scam, like, because Wyoming, you can do it, what they call generalizing points, which means, like, if you apply as a group, basically they take...
The average?
Yeah, the average amount of points between the people. So the unit we ended up hunting was a general tag, which only takes about 6 points to draw. So basically, by him going to that outfitter, what that outfitter did is they took his 17 points and got 3 other people, full price paying customers, at that outfitter to hunt. So that's why they let him hunt for free. He burned that tag. We hunted the outfitter for 6 days. Not a chance at even an elk over 240 inches, which is a fucking rag bull. Like, it's a tiny bull. And he's devastated. I mean, I don't think he's going to hunt ever again. Like, that trip fucking ruined him.
Oh,
he's
really?
Like, he just doesn't care anymore. Like, he basically lost it on the mountain as far as, like, not, like, lost it, but I feel like as we hunted, like, you could just see his, like, drive and, like, disappointment. Like, he's just sad. And then on that ride home, it was kind of shitty because I'm like, I feel you. I mean, you waited 17 years to go on your elk hunt. So much has happened to you in 17 years, like, physically, life-wise, between your job and how much time he could take off. Like, he had the opportunity to go back to the outfitter for free again during gun season, because we went in September for an archery hunt. Gun season was 3 weeks later in October, and they're like, okay, you'll for sure shoot one with a gun. It's not, you know, it might not be big, but we'll get you a bull. Well, he wasn't able to come back because of work. So it's like, you know, he spent whatever on the tag, $1,000. I mean, he had well over $1,000 in preference points. I mean, thank God he didn't pay for the outfitter, but we tipped the guide, you know, which is $500 or whatever, plus fuel expenses. And I'm like, it's 17 years down the drain.
Yeah.
Like, just, yes, he got to experience it, but I'm like, I don't necessarily want to do that either. Like, because we went on that hunt, that's the reason I know I don't want to wait 16, 17 years to go hunt.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to burn a tag, I'd rather burn it on 4 or 5 points than burn it on 17 points.
Yeah, but I mean, on the flip side of that, like, I don't know. I don't want to say anything negative, but I feel like there's some better preparation that maybe could have went into that.
For sure. And I knew that. I'm a different, in the most uncocky way I'm trying to say this, like, I'm a different specimen than the average person, I feel like, when it comes to being knowledgeable on what has to go into something. Like, prepping for these hunts, like, doing my research. I mean, he'd never e-scouted the place we were going. I mean, he hardly knew how to find it on Google Maps, which is, it's his thing, you know? Like me, I'm planning on an elk hunt 2025. It's 2024 right now. I've been sitting on Onyx, like, I'm late to Ben's house tonight. He's texting me where I'm at. It's because I'm sitting on my computer on Onyx full screen comparing the Wyoming website hunt units to, like, wilderness areas and where I can draw. And I'm like, I'm looking at places to hunt 2 years down the road. Like, it almost makes no sense. But at the same time, I'm like, I just know that, like, I'm tired of burning tags. Like, I want to do my best to increase my odds and percentages as much as I possibly can when I go on these trips. So it feels better coming out of it. Like, you talk about, you know, there's the effort in the hunt, there's the physical, you know, side of things you got to put yourself through, there's a mental side of things you got to get through to feel accomplished, and then, like, on behind the scenes, you and I just got done talking for 15 minutes about the funding and the time that comes into this stuff prior. So if it takes you, and you're talking about $170 a year for Colorado, even if it takes you, let's say you get one in 3 years, you get a tag. Like, 3 years, sure, it's not a lot of time, but it's a fair amount of time, plus all the money you put into. Like, you're telling me you're going to put all that effort, money, and time into this trip to not prep for it?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. And what's ultimately hard, too, is, like, I don't even know that Colorado's a state that interests me all that much.
Yeah, that's why I've never bought a point there.
But I don't want to look back in 10 years and be like, man, I wish I had this really cool hunt I could go on, because now I can afford it, and, you know, I've got the time this year to do it. And, like, I applied for a mountain goat hunt. If somebody came up to me and they're like, here's my free mountain goat tag for this year, and here's the hotel reservation I made and I'm going to pay for, and I'll pay for your gas to get out there, I don't know that I'd be that excited about it.
Oh,
like,
dude. Yeah.
I'd probably get out there and be like, okay, this is a freaking ball. Like, this is awesome.
Yep.
But just the thought of, like, going and shooting a mountain goat, I'm like, that's just not that exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or going and shooting a prong. I don't even know what a pronghorn is.
An antelope?
Oh, okay.
Little orange and white belly thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know it. I've always heard them called antelope.
Yeah, pronghorn antelope. Fun fact, pronghorn antelope. It is the oldest living mammal species in North America.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
It has not, like, whether you believe in evolution or not. I don't. I was on, when me and my buddy Joey were out in North Dakota and we saw those, he had told me that and was like, this is the one species over time that has always been the same and remained the same. And it's crazy how they're still here, and it's because of their speed.
See, and I don't...
Speed goats.
Yeah. I don't understand. Like, pronghorn...
I've had no desire.
I've heard it's cool. My uncle shot one at 95 yards with his bow a couple of years ago. And, like... I better write time closer.
Another fun fact.
Somebody told me the fact that he was even able to do that hunt with a bow is unbelievable.
The success rate for an art, like South Dakota, for example, is probably your number one state for guys archery hunting pronghorn, because you can get a tag every year. I bought a point, like I did what you did in Colorado this year for South Dakota. Like last year, South Dakota, everything was $10. So I'm like, oh, I'll buy East River Point, I'll buy a West River Point, a Black Hills, a Custer State Point Park, then I bought an antelope point. So I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Like, I could draw a fucking antelope tag, go hunt in August if I wanted to this year.
Yeah.
Not going to save that for another time because I'm not that interested, just like you were talking.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of guys that do it, and the success rate's like less than 10% out there.
Yeah,
because it's prairie. Like, it's literally like going in a football field with some elevation changes, and they're one of the fastest animals, you know, besides a freaking cheetah on this planet. And then their vision is second to none. I'm like,
Yeah.
they'll see it from 300 yards away and freaking bold.
Yeah. What's weird, probably from our viewers' perspective, is if you listen to us talk about some of this stuff, like me especially, I feel like some of the stuff I've said on here, they're probably like, wow, this guy's like not that into hunting. Like, especially if you're listening from like a western state maybe, but like, to me, the thing that drives me nuts is whitetails. Like, and now it's starting to get to be where mule deer are in that same. Like, I'd probably pick a mule deer hunt over an elk hunt right now. Elk are a very interesting one to me too, but like, I don't know. We haven't grown up where goats or pronghorn or anything like that are a thing, and like, I look at pronghorn, and they've got two freaking spikes coming out of your head, and it's like, that's a booner.
Yeah, like, yeah, and it's like makes no, and you know,
I'm like, I don't get it. Like,
a big one weighs 150 pounds too. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this one's got. His gross score is like 12 inches, and he's a booner, and this one's gross score is like 8 inches, and he's tiny.
Yeah,
like, I don't really get it. But
it's funny you mentioned that too, because when we were out in Wyoming, there was a guide who was younger. He was 19, and he was shadowing our guide just to gain experience guiding, if that makes sense. And we had that conversation about, like, you know, he grew up in Utah, or he grew up in Idaho, with the whatever the desolate region of that Idaho is. I don't remember what it's called. For some reason, I'm thinking George Floyd, but that's totally not the whatever it is. The Frank Church, that's what it is. Frank Church, like, most desolate place in North America in the Rockies as far as like primitive location. That's where he grew up hunting, and he's like, man, I love mule deer. He's like, I like, you know, trying to shoot cats, you know, black bears, you know, all this other unique stuff that I've never really hunted. And he's like, well, what have you hunted for? I'm like, I've tried mule deer, never killed one. I'm like, I've killed whitetails. And that was like instantly, like, I've never had a desire to shoot a whitetail.
he said that?
Yeah, that's and most of the guides out there, same thing. Like, they would care less to ever travel east and shoot a whitetail.
I think there's something for like Midwest hunters about mule deer. Mm-hmm. Let's just take mule deer versus whitetails, because he grew up hunting mule deer. In like the fact that you're hunting them from the ground. And I think to those guys, they get used to, like, my girlfriend's dad hunted elk in Colorado a lot. He lived in Colorado, and like, when he moved here, he tried to do a little bit of hunting, and just the sitting in the tree stand to him bored him, but he also wasn't like a huge hunter. Like, you know, it's like if I moved out west and I didn't really like western hunting, like, I'd still hunt because I love hunting that much. But, you know, I think to me, part of what I love about whitetail hunting, and maybe this is just coming from like growing up as an athlete and stuff, and like playing a high level college sport, is like the preparation that goes into something like a whitetail hunt, where like, you look at what you and I did this year, where we went out, we found a spot, we talked about it, we looked around at what else was there, we hung a stand. Like, all of that happened so much before the season. Yeah. And then once you get there, like, you get in your tree and you get set, there's nothing that you can do that changes that. Yeah, there's the guy that has random luck on his side of, like, he's in a shitty spot and a big buck just happens to walk by during gun season or whatever. But, like, if your preparation sucks and you don't pick the right spots and stuff, you're not going to have a successful season. Whereas western hunting, your preparation comes more in the getting in shape and shooting long distances. But, like, when you're actually on the ground hunting, if you're not trying, like, if what you're doing isn't working, you can call an audible because you're moving so many miles that day anyways. And, like, I think that there's probably just a that's where the distinct difference of those two styles of hunting come in that a lot of people might not necessarily talk about. That I think, like, is probably, or would probably, like, flip a switch in those guys' heads once they tried it, you know?
Sure.
Of, like, if they looked at it from that perspective, it's important to, the devil's in the details with both of those kinds of hunting, just in different ways, I guess.
And you and I talked about it a couple podcasts ago, about, we were talking about different variable factors and stuff, and we had mentioned about why I have this, like, eager urge to go spot and stalk a mule deer, and it's because I did it once, and it caught on fire with me. Partial reason, which vice versa on the Western guy's side, when they think about, other stuff, is like, I grew up whitetail hunting. That's all I ever knew. That's all I've ever done is sit in a tree stand, sit in a tree. You sit in a tree stand, even with all the prep and blah, blah, blah. Like, yes, you're the whole point of doing all that stuff is to increase your odds at that encounter, increase your odds at seeing a big deer. The fate, once you're up in the tree, there's nothing. I mean, it's up to God and the deer for it to walk by you, like, pretty much. That's where I'm like, Western hunting for me, I feel like I have more control of the reins versus, like, okay, I'm sitting on a glassing knob or I'm walking, I see a deer. If I was whitetail hunting, guess what? I'd be stuck in that spot praying that that deer happens to walk by me. But when you're on the ground and you're out west, like, you make the moves. You're calculating your stalk. You're doing, like, I feel personally like you're just so much more in control of how that animal gets killed, and it's just a big methodical process about, getting from point A to a successful hunt.
Yeah.
And because I don't do that with whitetails. Like, I'm not, you can try spot stalking here in the Blue Hills. Good fucking luck. Like, there's too much noise. You can't see. Like, it's merely impossible. But when you go out west, and that's the style of hunting, I mean, one, it's new. That's why I'm crazed about it. Two, like, it's just so different to me, and I freaking love it.
Yeah, and I feel like there's two, like, on the Western side of things, one of the ideas that I love is, like, the fact that you're kind of accountable for, like, what happens, because it is probably more in your hands. But part of the thing that keeps me so into whitetail hunting, I guess we'll just call it, is the fact that anything can happen at any time in what I know of whitetail hunting versus mule deer hunting. And so, like, let's use the example of, like, how in the whitetail or the mule deer hunts you've been on, how many times has it been 15 minutes till dark, and you get up to this coulee or valley or whatever they call them, and you see a buck 500 yards away, and you're like, we don't have time to do anything. And there's, like, a disappointment, and there's maybe some excitement in that of, like, maybe he'll be there in the morning.
That's what makes up for it.
There's also some disappointment of, like, we can't do anything. When you're in the woods, it's like, okay, there's 15 minutes left, and a deer could come from frickin' anywhere, and all of a sudden, I mean, how many times have you been in the woods, and all of a sudden you don't hear him, you don't see him, all of a sudden he's there. Yeah. Or even if she's there, it's like, okay, that's exciting to me, like, the buck I shot in Kansas this year, it was literally, like, I looked up, and 150 yards away, there he was. Never heard him, never saw him. Same thing with my rifle buck. Like, I looked up, he's in the middle of the field. Like, I'd been watching all morning, don't know how he got to don't know how I didn't see him come out on the field edge, but there he was, because he popped out of the trees, and, like, you never know what's about to step out, and I feel like that keeps you more engaged as a hunter. Even if you've had a shitty day where you've been in the tree all day. Like, I know, like, you going to Minnesota this year, you're like, I've hunted all frickin' day, but now it's prime time. And you're like, now anything can happen. Like,
when the squirrel hunters pop up.
Yeah, besides that. But it's like, now anything, all it takes is one for it to...
That's true.
For it to happen. And there's a part of that keeps me just so much more engaged in every hunt. Whereas I can see, like, from Austin's perspective and your guys' trip, like, it's just not happening, and you're going and having to seek out these animals, that would get kind of discouraging.
It's not for the lazy. Like, you have to go into these hunts with the mindset that it's not going to be easy, and you're going to have to bust your ass. The only flaw, I mean, there was a couple flaws with, I'll say, both of our mindsets out there. Like, when we're on the way to the outfitter, there wasn't a thought in my mind that he wasn't going to tag out, because I'm like, we're at an outfitter. Like, you kill shit at outfitters. But it's like, and he had the same perspective, like, we're in a good unit, we're on private land, like, I got a guide with me, we're on, this outfitter, they shoot, most people, like, they had like an 85% success rate, like pretty goddamn good. You know, and he went in his head that was the other shitty thing. Like, the first morning, I mean, that was his best encounter with an elk, was the first 15 minutes we were there. You know, we got out of the truck, they were bugling, we went all through this stuff. I don't know if it was the guide or if it was Austin, but they ended up caught us moving. I mean, there was like 3 bulls and a herd, like, I had like 40 cows down in this valley, and we were within 100 yards of them, and blew it right away. None of us had experience. Like, yes, we moved, blah, 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 whatever happened. We're like, okay, like, not a big deal. It's a first of 5 mornings or 5 days. Like, first 15 minutes, like, if this is how this trip's going to go, it's going to be fucking awesome. After that, it was a struggle. I mean, we put on 15 miles that day. Yeah. And not another encounter with an elk that, like, we heard bugling. We never saw, you know, anything close that we could shoot. It was like that the rest of the trip. And it was just one of those things. I think that's why it was more disappointing, is because we went into the trip thinking, you know, this is, like, we have this thing dicked. Like, it's literally pulling candy from a jar. And that was not the case at all, which is what led to more disappointment. But what's been helping me out west, like, I've been out there now a few times, whether I'd filmed out there twice, I'd hunted myself 3 times now out west. I'm like, it's not easy. Almost 90%, every shot opportunity I've had has been on the last day or second to last day of my trips. Every time. Now, granted, it's the other reason I like going out west. I've had a shot opportunity every time. Every time I've gone out west, I've fired an arrow. No mule deer. I shot one through the neck, didn't find it. I had missed 2 mule deer the year before, but guess what? I still want to go back, because I'm like, I've gone so many seasons in Wisconsin in a tree without a shot opportunity at a buck. Like, and I'm not like, I almost every year I probably could have shot a fork or a spike, but I'm talking like 125-inch deer is my goal. Even 120, like, that's probably the best deer I could have shot this year was maybe 130, and I was on my boss's lease, so I'm not like chalking it up. But I've had so many years in this state where I bust my ass, like, I do some prep work, and it's just, that's how hunting goes. I mean, it's just the luck of the draw, pretty much.
And the hard part is, like, in a state like Wisconsin, and I don't know how other resident states work as far as tag prices, if they're comparable, but I gotta think we have one of the cheapest resident tags.
Yeah,
I mean,
we do.
You can get everything you need for 20-some bucks. Like, it's probably one of the best states to live in to get into hunting, and exclude the southwest part of the state, like your Buffalo County area, Trempealeau County area. Like, it's probably one of the worst states to, like, be an above average hunter and live in. Like,
I know to want to shoot.
Well, you were there. The guy that found my deer this year, he's like, now this guy's a bit of an extreme circumstance because he's done well for himself, but, like, he's like, I'm not hunting here anymore.
Yeah,
like, I'm planning a few like week-long trips a year that are just like what I'm going to look forward to, and I'm not hunting here anymore. Yeah. Like,
guys are tired of being disappointed. I get that. Like, if you're content with shooting whatever walks by, meat on the table, brown is down, this is the state for you.
Yeah.
Because I've moved other places and I've hunted other places, and I'm like, my network of guys in this industry is insane. Like, there's so many guys that I aspire to be like that are consistently shooting big deer. And I'm not saying like 160s, 170s, but guys consistently shooting 130-inch deer or better, but they're not in this state. So when like I talk to them, they're like, oh, I don't understand. Like, how do you not shoot 130-inch deer in your state? I'm like, dude, it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, where I'm at, unless I want to drive 3.5 hours south every weekend, which I'm not going to do.
And where are you going to go?
That's what I'm saying.
Try to find public land in Buffalo County.
Yeah, there's one swamp, and then there's the Tiffany Bottoms, but it's like, it's the only people that don't own land down there, I guess, where they're hunting. Like, it's still public land. It's hard, but that's why I just, like, I was spoiled, and my opinion totally changed when I was 21 years old and I moved to Missouri, because I went on public land, archery only, giant chunks where there was managed food plots, there was good oak ridges, water sources, and we'd see 120-inch deer almost every sit, and we're passing them, and, Kyler and I messed up. Like, the first 2 weeks of season we were there, I mean, we had, 130-inch 8-point at 35 yards, and, like, on video we're like, no, we're going to pass it. We're going to shoot bigger. And, of course, then things happened that year. He ended up burning his tag. I shot a 132 out of that same spot, and he never got back out there. But it's like, there's just, we saw deer, dude. It was awesome. Every sit we looked forward to, because it's like not are we going to see deer tonight? It's like, how big is the buck we're going to see tonight? That was the mindset we went into. Is like, we know we're going to see deer. We know we're going to see a buck. How big is it going to be?
Yeah. Well, in Missouri's probably, like, you look it up and it's not one of the best rated states. It's up there, but from what I've heard of guys that have actually hunted Missouri, it's like probably the best state you can hunt in the country for whitetails.
For over-the-counter tags. That's the thing, and it's the same thing. Like when I was a resident there, and I talked to other residents, and be like, there's too many goddamn non-residents here shooting 120-inch deer. They need to let them grow. Missouri, you don't see a lot of 180 to 200-inch deer. But if you look at the number of 150 to 165-inch deer, it's insane.
Which is what guys like us would shit to be able
That's what I'm saying, but that's like guys are consistently shooting, and that's probably why they're not shooting a bunch of 180s and whatever, because guys, like, they're shooting all the 160s. Like, it's just, they don't, I mean, if you have a big farm and, like, you can control 500 acres, you're going to have 180s. And I don't know guys that do that.
Well, and where are you going to go that's better? Because, like, I've kind of drummed up Kansas on our podcast. I think while I was sitting in a tree, I think I shot my buck on, was it Wednesday night, I want to say?
I don't remember.
Of our trip. We left on a Saturday, and we came back on Saturday, and I think it was like Wednesday night.
Yep.
And I think I had a doe tag, so I ended up sitting, and I think I saw like 15 different deer. The entire, I think the next morning I burned. I didn't sit. I slept in. And other than that, I sat every hunt, morning and night of the trip. And I think I saw like 14 or 15 or 16 different deer from a stand the entire time we were there. Like, yeah, you've got a good buck to doe ratio, so your odds of killing one are still good, but it's not anything crazy. I mean, if you're going there to see a lot of deer, that is not your state. Okay, maybe Iowa's up there in the conversation with Missouri, but like
it's the same terrain. It's just harder to get a tag, and there's technically there's a lot less deer in Iowa. Like if you look at this, I think there's less than 100,000 deer is what they say in Iowa, but there's also a fraction of the hunters between residents and non-residents because it's so hard to get a tag, so that's how their herd is managed. But there's so many good deer in Iowa.
What about Indiana?
Indiana is going to be the number one Boone and Crockett state in 2 years. They've went from off the charts to, I think, they're number 3 right now in total Boone and Crockett harvest. I mean, they've entered like 20 different Boone and Crockett records just this year.
Jeez.
They are, and that's why I said, because Wisconsin's still number 1, but they're slowly losing. Like, that's why you're going to see Wisconsin fall to probably 3 or 4 in 2 years, and Indiana and Ohio are going to be ranked 1 and 2. That's why I was saying where my fiance's family's from, just within an hour of there. I mean, you got 3 different states to choose from. That area, in fact, I'll segment this actually. I've been asked before, like, if you could choose, like, if there were no boundaries and there were no states, like, circle the areas that you would hunt. And I have a circle that's like 60-mile radius or diameter that covers southeast Minnesota, southwest Wisconsin, and northeast Iowa. There would be another one that covers southeast Iowa, northeast Missouri, and then like very eastern Illinois, or very western Illinois, Pike County area. And then the other one would be the trifecta of Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana along the Ohio River.
Yeah.
Statistically, when you look at, like, Onyx has a filter, and I was playing with it tonight trying to look at mule deer and elk, Boone, and Crockett, like, counties out in whatever for the whitetail one. They have all the counties in red of historic Boone and Crockett entries, and within those 3 circles, just about every county is red, like bright red as far as number 1 entries, and it's always along bluff country, big river systems, and limestone soil. So that's just the areas, and that's just, I don't know how to explain it, but
yeah. Well, is that a good point to wrap it up?
Yeah, I lapse back to the preference point conversation about we got some hunts. I got to figure some things out. I mean, there's states we didn't even talk about. Like, I had bought my first 2 mule deer hunts were in Nebraska with a buddy, Colin, who lives in the very southwestern portion of the state. which as of this year, they changed to a draw system. You can't buy over the counter for that unit. So, like, I had to buy another point out there. It takes 2 points to draw. Now it's, if you draw the tag, you can shoot it with a bow or a gun. Like, you just hunt all year. You know, so next year, I'm looking at North Dakota archery, Wyoming for mule deer, Kansas for sure. The following year is, like, I could antelope hunt South Dakota for sure. I can mule deer hunt South Dakota for sure. I can elk hunt Wyoming. I possibly draw Iowa. I'm like, I could even with 2 points draw that Nebraska tag. I'm like, now I have so many options.
Yeah.
I'm only going to do 2 or 3 the following year. And then guess what? Now I have more points than the other states I hunted 2 years ago. So I'm like, I feel like I'm going to be stuck in this. Sorry.
You're good.
Never ending cycle of like trying to figure out where to hunt, and it might bug me like crazy because I'm like, which will be a good thing, like as long as I always have options, like okay, because I have this many points in this state and this many points in this state, next year I'll do this, the next year I'll do this, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And that's why
I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, and that was going to be my turnaround message here to people listening is like, even if you don't think or can like fathom or contemplate going on a hunt in the next 2 years, I suggest just start accumulating points in as many states as possible with tags that you may ever be interested in hunting.
Or even just like, you're getting a phone call. Even just like easy states, like what you and I did. Like it was literally $10, no extra expenses for us to get South Dakota, and now we can go hunt there.
Yeah.
Or if we waited if we buy another preference point this year, for sure the following year we can.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
the other thing too.
There are we bitched about the prices, but there are some cheap ways you can get started. Like we said, Kansas is $25 to buy a preference point. You don't have to commit to the $500 tag if you can't do that right now. You can literally just get the preference point.
Yep.
So if some of these sound interesting to you, start doing research. I will say they make it a biatch to research. It's like a full-time job trying to keep up with these states.
And all the different regs and application time periods and just...
Yeah, and what zones you want to hunt. But some of them aren't so bad, and just start looking at it little by little and making your applications or buying your preference points.
And
so
to end on that, I guess I will say the only other thing to keep in mind is that we're talking about statistics for 2023 going into 2024. I do foresee possibly in the future, now that states are cutting back on tag numbers, that states will get harder to draw. I mean, you may see in the next 5 years that Kansas takes 2 preference points to draw. Or you may see like the South Dakota and North Dakota, instead of guaranteed tags with 1 or 2 points. I mean, these states might, 10 years from now, it could take 4 points to draw all of these states. You don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Just start buying points now, even if you're not sure you want to hunt, because eventually you will cash them in. Even if the tag only needs 2 points and you have freaking 10 and you wasted some money, guess what? You're guaranteed the tag. So thanks for listening. Check you guys out next time.
yeah, we'll see you next time.